Hi everybody, it's Katina. I am here for another Clarinet Project live stream to answer your burning clarinet questions. And thank you everybody for coming. Hello to Austin, and White Crewmate is here, so I'm happy to see you. And let's jump in. I've been getting some good questions with the bass clarinet posts that I did recently. And I've been having people write in about their teeth hurting, which is a new one for me. Hi, Glizzy. And I at first thought they meant that their bottom lip was hurting from their teeth, but actually they really did mean that their teeth were hurting. And let me know if this has ever happened to you. It's actually happened to me before, but it's very unusual to have your teeth hurt. So I don't run into it very often. More often it's the lip that hurts. So let's address the lip first. So when your lip is hurting, when you're playing the clarinet, there's a couple of reasons. One is that people tend to bite. They bite if their reed is too soft and they're trying to make their sound a little bit darker and have more control over their sound. Biting is a lot about control, actually. It's trying to control the clarinet that's feeling a little wobbly, trying to control a reed that's too soft. And when you're nervous, some people tend to bite when they're nervous. So that is something that happens to us as clarinet players. And you'll notice it because you'll get these grooves on your bottom lip. It'll actually start to hurt. I've seen it bleed before. And as a clarinet teacher, I'll notice it when somebody stops playing. They'll have a big red line, kind of like Queen Amidala's makeup from Star Wars. It'll be this line right here, and that's usually how I can tell that somebody has been biting. There are ways to help this. Try a harder reed. Sometimes that helps. Definitely work on your embouchure muscles so you have more control in here. And then if it's a nervous biting habit, you're going to work on some relaxation techniques. Release the tension in your shoulders. One of the things that's so interesting to me that helps prevent biting is sitting up straight and putting your feet flat on the ground. A lot of band directors talk about this constantly because when you sit up straight and you put your feet flat on the ground, it actually expands your body cavity so you have more room for breath control. But what a lot of people don't know is by sitting up straight and putting your feet flat on the ground, it gives your body more control and more ownership of its space, and therefore you feel stronger. And then I've noticed people actually bite less when they have their feet flat on the ground because they can put that power, that I don't want to use the word tension, but that energy that's in their body, they can put it into their feet. They can push into the ground a little bit, and then they'll bring the clarinet up to them. And then that can actually help prevent the biting. It's a really interesting thing because we don't really connect our feet to our mouth very often, but this is one of those situations where that works. Now, for those of you that actually are having the teeth hurt, that is something that is usually related to what's going on with your tongue. Now, if you're biting hard enough that your teeth hurt, that's definitely something that you're going to need to address. One of the things that works really well with that is doing the double lip embouchure, because if you bite with that double lip embouchure, it's going to hurt your top lip a lot. And people tend to stop when they have the double lip embouchure. But if your teeth are hurting not from biting, it's from where your tongue is in your mouth. And sometimes people will push their bottom teeth with their tongue against their teeth. For me, it's actually my top teeth in the back that'll hurt, because sometimes I'll push the sides of my tongue against my top teeth if I'm really working hard on something, and I'm really concentrating. I actually notice that I will push against my top teeth with the sides of my tongue. So it's a really interesting phenomenon, but yes, it totally happens. Okay, Dominic, hi. Oh no, wait, crewmate, you had the teeth that happened to you too. All right, King CK, is shallow bow register C sharp supposed to be fuzzy and kind of thuddy? You had actually asked me this question on one of my videos and I just hadn't gotten to it. It shouldn't be too fuzzy, but it doesn't ring the same way as your other notes. So if you're playing down here on G, so the C sharp is a little fuzzier compared to the C natural. But it shouldn't be too much. So if your C sharp is fuzzy and it's noticeable, I want you to double check that you didn't bend your C sharp key. So sometimes if this key gets bent right here, it doesn't open around here for for this pad on this hole, and then if it's too low, it'll have that fuzzy sound. One of the ways you can check for this is to not press your pinky down all the way on the C sharp key. Let me get to a side where you can see it. Okay, so I'll come here. So you can hear that difference in pitch there. If your C sharp is sounding really, really stuffy, you might have bent it a little bit. I'm not an advocate of bending your own keys. I have seen people break their clarinets this way, but if your C sharp key is bent, you can just try bringing it up a litning bit and seeing if that, bringing it up a little bit here and seeing if that helps a little bit. Otherwise, get to a repair tech and they'll be able to take care of that for you. Okay. Glizzy says that's why I switched to Leger reeds. Oh, why? For the teeth pain or for the biting? That's a good one to follow up on, Glizzy. Jenadiah, can you do a tutorial on how to do Kung Fu fighting? That's a good one. So yeah, if you actually put that in the community section, if you comment there, I'll be able to see that again. I'll probably forget about that as I am wont to do. But yeah, definitely remind me about that one. That's a good one. All right, Glizzy, I struggle switching from a G to a C octave key. So right back, and I'm going to have you do this. Are you struggling going from open G to full C? So if you can let me know that, then I'll be able to answer your question better. All right, Shane, I sent a message to Mr. Corrado and Mr. Jose. Oh, I hope they get back to you. Awesome. All right, Little Fat Mid. That is hilarious, your name. Do you have any tips on playing faster songs with 16th and 32nd notes? I have to perform a song with all these fast notes. I'm having a bit of trouble getting to where it sounds like or what it's supposed to be like. Okay, yes, I do have tips on practicing 16th notes. There are a lot of ways that we can do this, and everybody is different for what is going to work for you. So I'm going to give you a bunch of ideas for practicing 16th notes. Take what you can and leave the rest that doesn't work for you. I find that I go through lots of different ways of practicing 16th notes, depending on the piece, depending on my mood that day, depending on, yeah, it's really like that. It's like the piece or my mood or what I'm trying to get out of it. So the very first one that I do is I play them slowly. Also, I chunk them into pieces. If you were translating a Russian novel, you wouldn't translate the entire novel at once. You would do little sections at a time, and you would get better and better as you go along. You would start to recognize certain words like the and. You would see them over and over again. The same thing will happen to us as we start to recognize those little patterns of 16th notes. So when I was in school and when I'm a teacher, I notice so much work goes into learning scales. We have to memorize them, we do them on playing tests, we do them on auditions. It's really a big part of our musical education when we're younger. And there's a reason for that because we play a lot of music with scales. But once I got out of music school and I started playing professionally, I was in an opera orchestra and I was playing a lot of Alberti bass figures, not even arpeggios. They were the like that, and then I would start to recognize those patterns in all the different keys. So as you go through your practicing, you will get better at it, but you have to give your brain time to learn it. So I'm a big advocate for breaking into smaller pieces. I even use those little post-it notes like bookmarks, and I'll say, okay, I just did this measure today, or I just did this line today, or I just did these 4 lines, and then you give your brain a break. It's very important to give yourself the mental break, but it's also very important to not start back where you left off. If you keep starting at the beginning, your beginning is going to be great, your ending is going to be second place great, and your middle is going to be like definitely last place not so great, because we tend to play over and over again what we like. All right, so for 16th notes, let's say we're in 4/4, break it into a group of 4. Land on the downbeat of the next 16th note. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And you want to have very rhythmic fingers. And then start on the G that you left off on. And then put them together. like that. So that is the chunking method. This is a Leon Rushnov method, and it's probably many other teachers use this one as well. Break it into the little groups of 16th note chunks and build them up together. They remind me of those little 4 blocks in Legos. I've got my little 4 block, and then I have another one here, and then I have another one here, and then when I put them all together, I've got a row. And then I can put that block on Legos that has the 8 or whatever. You know how the bigger ones go? Now listen, if you're having problems with the 16th notes within that group of 4, then you do it one note at a time, okay? So if you're doing intervals, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, right? Make sure that's nice and clean in there before you move on. If it has an extra note, that's going to slow you down. It's going to sound sloppy. So get it just one note to the next note, nice and clean. Then you can add a note. Like that. Or you can do. And that one actually I have to fix because I had a little finger drag in there. So if you do just one note to the next note, and then the next note to the next note, and then you can do 3. Like that. So break it down into pieces, be creative with it. And the other one, the tried and true classic, is to get that metronome out and put it on quarter note equals 60, quarter note equals 40, you know, and just do that passage nice and slowly. But remember, it's really important for our brains to have it into a small group, and then we work into getting into a bigger group and going from there. Don't move on until it's good. Always meet your standards, right? Set your goal of where you want it to be, and don't settle for anything less. You are a good clarinet player. It might take you a little bit longer to get there, and it might be kind of frustrating. And did that painting just fall off the wall? That painting just fell. So give yourself time to learn it, and there it goes. The wall does not like what I'm saying. So you want to just practice smartly. I know we don't have a lot of time. We have these very busy lives. So just practice it in little bits, build from there, do the metronome slowly, work your way up from there. Stop. Always stop when you find you're getting frustrated. If you're having a good day and things are going well and you're feeling good about your practicing, keep going. But don't power through if it's not working. Just give yourself a break for that. We have to be kind to ourselves. Okay, I'm going to get some other questions in here. Okay, Ballister, I haven't got any. Oh, you don't have any response. Ballister, okay. All right, so how are you supposed to put it in the community tab? Oh no, I don't know. You know what? Comment on one of my other videos and I'll see it there. Okay, oh, switching from A to B. Oh, and the Captain America March, that's a good one. Okay, so this is Kairika. Hi, and then Glizzy, you're saying switching from A right here, going to over the break B. So just clarify if it's throat tone A to over the break B. And then King, every time I ditch from B to C, it doesn't want to come out. Any tips? Switch. And then I need clarification if it's full B to C right here, or if it's B to C right there. So full B, or this is called shallow mode B. How do you play high notes faster on 16th and quarter notes and faster rhythm on them? That's Glizzy. Okay, so I just want to make sure everybody gets a turn. I tend to get the same people over and over again. Okay, so I'm gonna go to, okay, register key B, okay, and then the C doesn't work, okay. And then Glizzy, how do you play high notes faster on 16th and quarter notes and faster rhythm on them? Really, it's the same thing that I was just talking about. Break it into little pieces. Just go one note at a time to the next one, making sure that's clean, and 2 notes at a time, 3 notes at a time, build from there. I like to build it in rhythmic patterns too, so if I'm in 4/4 and it's a group of 4 16th notes, I'll stay in that group of 4 16th notes. But really, honestly, break it into pieces, just like you're translating a novel, or slow it down and build it up that way. Like you're building the Lego house also works for the chunking technique. So we've got the 1, the translating the novel, the little bits at a time, the Lego technique, which is the chunks of a time, which it would be whatever your time signature is, and then the slow one, we'll call that the turtle technique. So the turtle one, slow it down and then speed it up from there, but it works also on the high part of the clarinet. Okay, Stephen, I want to say voce, Stephen voce. I get a lot of dribble coming out of the end, which is disgusting. A bit disgusting. It is a bit disgusting. And I'm married to a trumpet player, and I have no way that I can tease him about that because all of our dribble comes right out of our bell. It's also super gross when it comes out of our tone holes. The best thing I can offer for you is to swab your clarinet a lot. If you are also playing in a place where the temperature outside is a little cooler, like, and I don't mean outside as in you're outside in the, outside in the trees and everything, but outside of your instrument. If it's a little cooler and then it's obviously warmer because we're blowing this warm air through the instrument, that can also cause more condensation in there. That's the best I've got. Just swab out a lot. I'm sorry. I've definitely gone through stages in my life where I have more liquid coming out of here than other times, and most of those times depended on where I lived. So if I was in Florida, I had a lot more condensation coming out of the bell of my clarinet. Okay, register key B, and then when you lift up, the C isn't working. That could be a technical issue with your clarinet, so just have a technician look at it if what I say doesn't help. So what I have noticed with I shouldn't say young people, with beginning clarinetists, and in particular with clarinetists with thin fingers, is that when we lift up certain keys, sometimes this third finger will roll off of this hole, and then you'll get a leak in there. So double check to make sure that this one isn't rolling off, okay? And then also double check that you aren't bumping this side G sharp key. And then another place I see the roll is around here, but this one in particular gets it the most. This one doesn't nearly as much. So play that B to the C in a mirror, and if you're getting that roll back there, or if you're getting that slide off of that and you can see that blackness there, that is a leak, and that could be your problem. And if that isn't what it is, you can do the suction test to see if your clarinet isn't sealing. If your clarinet isn't sealing, take it to a repair person. So here's how the suction test works. You're going to take that bottom joint, you're going to cover those holes very carefully, because if you have that leak in the spot I was talking about, this isn't going to work. And then go ahead and press the low E key down there. You're going to use the fleshy part of your palm, put your bottom of your clarinet there, and you're going to suck all the air out. And you should get a pop when you pull your hand off. If you don't get that pop, that means you have a leak in there. And I mean, it won't be that obvious because I was sliding my finger off, but if you don't have that pop in there, that means you usually have a leak. So try it first to make sure that your keys are covering those holes properly and you're not bumping any side keys. And if all of that is in good shape, then I want you to double check to make sure that your clarinet doesn't have any leaks in it. I do see a lot of leaks in that area though, with that C, F key and the E, B key. So watch out for that. Okay, any good tips? Okay, excuse me. So there's King to the register B, Kayurika, any good tips on how to get to high C? I'll come back to you. Jelly says, hi Jelly. And Little Fat Mid, I'm gonna laugh every time I see that. Thanks for that. My band director just gave me a song and said here, the whole song is pretty much 16th and 32nd notes and sort of overwhelming to look at. It is, absolutely. I remember when I got the second clarinet part to Strauss is Salome, and I opened the book and it was all black. The whole page was black. It was 64th notes everywhere, at 32nd notes. And the thing is with 64th and 32nd notes, they seem intimidating at first, but a lot of time the tempo is a little bit slower, so they're more like the equivalent of fast 16th notes depending on the piece you're playing. Now, of course, there's many exceptions to this, but that can be one of them. I'm just going to tilt the camera a little bit because that sun coming in there. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. So, yeah, the 64th notes, 32nd notes, they can be very intimidating. Take it into the little pieces and that will absolutely help. Okay. All right. So King CK, like A to B or A to C. Okay, so if you're having trouble going from this A right here to B over the break or C over the break, the way to practice that and to get that to work for you is actually to start at the top. So start at the C. Well, that's what we're going to do. So starting here, then go to the A, and concentrate on keeping these fingers curved and right over the holes. Do not move them. It's not like we play the piano. Everything we need is right here. The one you have to pay the most attention to is the thumb in the back. A lot of people drop it back here when they play A to brace the clarinet. You don't need to. If you're sitting up straight and your feet are flat on the ground, you've got a good embouchure. So avoid this trap right here. Keep that thumb right there. Start on the C. And then try on the B. I don't usually do this because I'll notice people will do this too much and in spots they're not supposed to. But if it's the A that's giving you trouble, you can leave this right hand down. The reason why I don't say that as much as I used to say it all the time, I will catch people doing it here. And then they're like, why is my F not working? So it works on the A. So not as much on other notes. It depends on your clarinet. But that's how you can practice that. Okay. I'm going to come back to the question about how to get to high C. You just need to let me know which high C. Are we going over, is this what you mean by high C over the break C? Or is this the C that you're trying to get to right there? Okay. All my altissimo notes, this is CJ, above E still sound squeaky. Do you have any tips on how to make them sound better? When you say E altissimo, I'm assuming you mean this E right here. Okay, so let's talk, oh, when I play the C, it squeaks a lot, which is really annoying me. Oh my gosh, the squeaks are super annoying. I can't stand it. So I spend so much time working with my students to not squeak. It's like a big thing for me. And then I posted that cartoon on Instagram where it was a squeaky clarinet recital. And actually, I really struggled with posting it because I think clarinet players have a bad rap because of the squeaks. And not all of us squeak, but it's something that we have to be diligent about, you know? I feel like I'm mad-eye moody, constant vigilance about the squeaking. Okay, so let's talk about the altissimo notes and then C, which is the thumb only. Okay, so I'll do the rundown real quick because I have to get ready to go. So if you're up here at E, really, I would just play them slowly. And even when I first started it, I'm trying to play it quietly because I don't have a good mic today. So just play them slowly and as long tones and try and match that sound. You can do this exercise where you play the E. And then you expand it by half steps. Until you get up to the G, until you get down to the C sharp. See if that helps make your sound a little bit more pretty. If you start here in the C natural, that'll give you the extra bonus of practicing back and forth going over that break, so that's helpful too. But it really is long tones and experimenting with your tongue position to see if you can get your tongue in a different spot to sound prettier. If you have a great embouchure and a great tongue position and you're still not getting the results you want with a lot of long tones and tone matching exercises, and you've worked on it with a teacher, maybe you should consider trying a different mouthpiece or a different reed combination. Okay, so let's just talk about getting up to that C, and then I have to go because I have a clarinet lesson. So we're going to start here on G. So if you can play up to the G, no problems. What I want you to do is start right there. And just slur up to that C. Start on the A if that works. And each time you have to have a clean articulation. If you have a grunt in there or a note that doesn't speak really well, that's not going to cut it, because that's your future squeak, that's your future grunt, that's your future C not speaking. Start on the B. See, that articulation wasn't good enough. I have to do it again. I have to use more air and support more. Nope. Nope. Better. And I used more air to get that to speak better. There's another way you can do it that's really obnoxious, but it works really well. Start on the G, and I want you to crescendo up to that C in the most hideous, obnoxious sound possible. Really bad. You just go for it. And then play a pretty one. So a lot of it is just getting over that hump of not using enough air because we're scared it's not going to sound good. Just go ahead and own it, make it sound really, really bad, put all that air in there, get up to that C, and then play a pretty one. And then keep working on it and getting it more and more refined as you go. All right, thank you everybody. Hey Serena, I'm gonna go, signing off. I'm so happy that you all came, and happy clarinetting.